manifesting using scriptural teachings. Can it be done? I got a question about that. Welcome to this rabbit hole, manifestation. I don't typically go here. And I do manifest, but I stay out of that arena. My name is Dan Paulson. Let me show you what I have found. And yes, first of all, let's hear the question. It was somebody just, Marcus Knorr here just said, can you teach us or direct us for manifesting something in our lives? I'm going to say no to that, but stick with me. I'm going to show you what to do. Can we use our higher inner self for that now? Our higher self? Yes. Is there anything about it that you maybe found in scriptures? Yes. Thanks in advance. Okay. So I do want to talk about it. I'm not going to teach you how to manifest. I'm going to teach you what is going on, and it's up to you to do it. And what I'm going to do is say, first of all, the manifestation idea precedes the DVD, The Secret by, well, you know what? It goes back to Babylonia. Honestly, it's so old. You even see when The Secret comes on and they're doing all those little flashing things up front, the excitement where it's building up and all that. You see some guy that's getting The Secret by, like, you can see just for a second there, he's got a piece of paper or something over this emerald tablets, and he's like in this pyramid inside someplace. He's trying to like etch them like that. Like that's supposedly where the emerald tablets of Thoth came from. Somebody, copied that right there. So you can see the stuff is very old, but there's something wrong in The Secret that is completely wrong with scripture. Jack Canfield says something that is bass-ackwards to what there is. With a caveat. Let's get into it. It's much bigger than a simple thing. You don't just sit and wish for something and have a bag of money drop on your head. That's not going to happen. I'm also going to say this, that manifestation is effect. It's the effect of cause and effect. I'm going to go to Lao Tzu and just say something very stark. If you know the Tao Te Ching, I'd recommend having this in your library of spiritual material to study. Just right here in the very first one. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. What this translates to is that whatever you're hanging on to, you can continue to see the manifestations of it. Not just when you want to, but all the time. The life that we are currently living is the life that we are currently manifesting. All right, so first as an overview, everybody, the idea is this, that if you think about something, if you feel the sensation, if you experience this, if you don't have something, but you experience it, and you keep experiencing that, you're going to move that direction, that it'll unfold for you, and that it'll take some time, but if you just stick with it, it'll happen. Okay, and that is a part of life. That's a part of what to do in life to move on. That's exactly right. However, it is of one little small piece. It leaves out a lot of stuff. You don't just sit and... It'll work for some people fairly well, and other people not at all. There's more going on than what meets the eye. One size does not fit all. I've looked a little bit of, some of that Gaia Channel stuff. I can't remember their Greg Braden. He's got some weird stuff going on too, even that under the Antarctic, creature state. I don't know. There's some pretty bizarre stuff there. Who's the other guy? Dr. Joe Dispenza does a lot of stuff on that now, very popular, but they're raising the frequency and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? There's stuff in the material that if you understand, these guys are just like making money off of repackaging what's already there and not covering it all. And if you study and study and study and learn the material, that's what it takes to understand it. At some point you realize, man, they're teaching this stuff right here like it's new, like it's now, but it's packaged in modern verbiage. How do we access it? How come it doesn't work? How come I can't sit there and go, I need a new car, and I want this kind, and I need a new house, and I'm broke, and I don't have a good job, and I can't pay the bills, and I don't have any food, but I'm going to sit and think about things and have it work. How come it doesn't work? Yeah, there's bigger stuff going on than that. There's a point where the one comment that Jack Canfield made in the DVD happened right here. They were talking near the end of the DVD as they're saying things like, People ask, can I do this? How come I can or can't? And people, I can't because I've had this happen to me or that happen to me. Then they go off and list things like I was homeless in Dallas for so many years, and I was in a severe motorcycle accident. And my parents were alcoholics, and different people are saying different things. One person said, you got a learning disability. You're not going to amount to anything. So they're talking about issues that they were told as children, and then they get done, and Jack Canfield it all stops, and he just goes. And that's just called so what. The real what is what you're going to do now. That right there is where it gets broken. That's just called so what. Okay, that works if, what happened? What are you so whatting away? You're so whatting away things that you can let them go mentally. All right, I don't mean for any examples to sound ridiculous. I just want everybody to work through a thought process. Let's say you grew up in life and, you just had some wrong perceptions. I'm mad about this because my cousin got something and I didn't get it and I didn't understand it. And you look back on it and go, yeah, I was being a baby. Nobody did anything to me. Nothing happened. Okay, so you can so what that stuff away. You can look at that and go, boy, was I immature. I sure had some growing up to do. Yeah. There's other times you go, okay, well, I got molested. I can't look at that and go, oh, well, you know what? That was an error. It's a mistake. Something different has to happen in the mind. You cannot so what that away. I listen to the guy's stories in The Secret and I think, well, let's see, I was almost 10 years old when I cut my brother out of the tree after he had taken his life. We were beaten. We were abused. I ran away from home. I did get molested. I was 15 years old when I learned the best food in garbage cans came from out the back of the restaurants. I was headed for a bad life, and I'm not there now, but I never followed the policy of so what. I had to resolve things to get where I am. I couldn't just sit there and go, I want something different and leave my past in. I had a lot of forgiving to do. I had a lot of things inside of me that were not going to be okay. And there's no amount of so what that was going to make that okay. I did not get here where I am today, retired, house paid for, because I so whatted my beginnings away. You can't do that. What does Jesus say? First, before I even bring up Jesus, do you know the book, The Four Agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz? This right here is telling us that the reason we have issues in life is because we have made agreements through life. We grow up in life, we become products of our, I believe this, I believe that, this happened, I feel this way, I feel that way. Those are the agreements we make. And that in order to have a better life, we must go in and restructure those agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz in this little book right here is giving instructions on how to go after that stuff. He is not saying, so what that away. He is focused on what the issue is. While the DVD, The Secret, is like, forget what the issue is. Think of it this way. You're a ship in the sea. You're in port. There's an island out there. That's your island. You want to go live there. That's the place you want to go. So you just keep your eyes on that and go, 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 go. And you don't get there. You have to finally look around and go, man, I'm anchored to this. I'm anchored to that. I'm holding on to this. I'm holding on to that. I can't even set course. I gotta free myself from some things to get where I'm going. That's the stuff you can't so what it away. Those are your anchors. What does Jesus say? And heads up to anybody watching. I'm treating Jesus like a guru, not like somebody I'm supposed to worship as an idol. I'm treating him like he's teaching me something here, and I'm supposed to figure out what he's teaching. So be aware of that. If you don't like that idea, then I wouldn't stick around. All right, this is in it's chapter 5. I'm using the NRSV here. Chapter 5 of the book of Matthew, where he is. This is the Sermon on the Mount. All right, what we do is we get down here it's right down in this area concerning anger. And I'm going to read the whole area concerning anger, not just the part about what I'm looking for. And we're supposed to interpret this, okay? Everything that we're going to read right here it's not going to sound the same when we're done talking about it. But let's read what it sounds like to begin with. We are supposed to interpret this. You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or a sister, that you will be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or a sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, you fool, you will be liable to the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser accuser while you are on the way to court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge and the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Truly I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. All right, now, we need to interpret it. This is about me. This is a lesson for me. Jesus is my guru. I'm asking him about life, and he's telling me these are all the things you need to know. And in this section right here, what I'm going to understand is that long ago I was told that murder shall be liable to judgment. Okay, that's in the past. This is from Jesus, though. But I say to you, right there, okay, so let's just disregard what it says 21. What we need to do is pick up on 22. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or a sister, you will be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or a sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, you fool, you will be liable to the hellfire. Now, what needs to be understood here, if you're going to interpret this in a certain very specific way, is that this has to do with my memories in my mind. It is not about the physical world. So the brother or sister, what is a brother or a sister? What is anger? What is judgment? All these things. All right, what I'm going to suggest, if you just work it through, what this is going to come down to is this. If you have made judgments in your life and you are maintaining issues inside of you that are anger, pain, shame, all that stuff. Yeah, these things happen. I don't talk about them. They're not active in my mind right now. But if I sit and think about them, oh yeah, I can pull them right up. I can sit quietly to myself and think about this. I will never tell anybody. I feel the shame. I will feel I will feel my face get red just by looking at the memory of it. That's the stuff right there. The first verse says, in old times, judgment for murder. But he's saying, you know what? All you have to do is keep it in your mind. If you're carrying this in your head, you're going to be suffering the consequences of it. You're going to be liable to the hell of fire. That's your life, you fool. You're hanging on to stuff that is in the past. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, what is this? You are offering your gift at the altar. Ah, you know what that is? You know what, though? I'm going to put up a version of what it would sound like if Jack Canfield's was in here, the one from the DVD, The Secret. Instead of saying, first be reconciled to your brother or sister and then come and offer your gift, he says, when looking for a better life, just forget about the past. You see how those those differ? Visualizing. You're offering your gift at the altar. What are we doing here when you offer a gift at the altar? If you think about it, if you were in real life, in physical life, the reason you would give a gift at the altar is because you're trying to invoke something from God. Good graces, something like that. I want a better life. God, please, thank you. Please, grace me. My family's hungry, whatever. And while you're there, you remember that you have aught against your brother, these issues. You're looking for a better life. You're looking to sail to that island. And you remember you've got anchors in the water. Stop trying to sail. Don't offer your gift. Stop looking for a better life. Stop looking for God's good graces because you have anchors. You're not going to sail. First, go resolve the aught against your brother. Find a way to say, I was molested. I hate this person. The memory is not going to change. The emotion has to change. You have to find some way to view that until you are no longer caught up into it in the emotion that you feel, until you are free of it. As long as you're angry or ashamed or something like that, you're hooked into it. It's going to continue to be a part of you. It's going to be one of your anchors, whether you like it or not. And there's something really important to understand. When you're visualizing for something, you're trying to create this mental space that is so strong that you go after it. Meanwhile, what's happening is the mental space that you've created in the past is so strong that you're experiencing that. This has to change. To create something new, you must... you can't make a new sand painting till you rake out the old one. Let's try to create a modern analogy. I don't like this one, but let's just say you have a slum part of the city that's really drug infested and it's really bad and it's crime ridden and things like that. But you want to have a place that's like, some downtown resort someplace where there's like places to sit and the sun is shining and people can sit around having drinks and umbrellas and you can leave your stuff out and kids are playing around and things like that. Can you just take that new place and put it in the old one? And you know what? We somehow live in an energy collective from where you are. You're going to flow and have experiences based on that. So it's not just a case of making your mind feel better. Your mind feels better, which creates a different flow. It's like this is like a mental rudder creating your flow in life. So changing this isn't just a way to make you feel better in your experience. It's a way to make you feel better about the past, which then changes your future experience. I don't want to talk about it. Well, there you go. Say bye to that island. We got to resolve these things or we're not going to get free of them. Jesus in no way, shape, or form is saying if you want a better life, just forget about that stuff. He's saying if you want a better life, stop looking for the better life and go resolve that stuff. Then what happens? Your Father who sees in secret rewards you in secret. Life automatically happens as a result. You don't have to sit and meditate for it. You resolve the past, the good emerges. The past is in the way. Now, if it's working for you without that, it's because you didn't have anything in the way. Or whatever you had in the way was so minimal that you can let it go. And at some point you get on the side of success that is so big, whoosh, that becomes the predominant thing. But when the predominant thing is, hurt and failure, and I can't get to there, you are stuck. You have to get out of the hurt and failure. You have to destroy the old Babylon and create a new one. We're destroying our old self and creating a new self. And all of the material and all of the teachings and all of the pathways, that's what it's teaching us that we need to do. We need to flood our earth. We need to get rid of the animals and slaves that we picked up from Pharaoh in Genesis 12 when we were Abram and Sarai. And now Sodom is going to end up as being a result. These are metaphorical stories about us and about our life. And nobody's getting into that detail. They're taking one part out saying, you know what, just look for the new Babylon. Forget about the old one. No. What is Jesus saying? You want something better? Stop. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to teach what those guys teach. What I'm going to teach is what they taught in antiquity that I followed and that I have an example of. And that's something people that are on the path, they have to do it on their own. That's a very personal thing. You don't follow anybody at this point. It is no longer the blind leading the blind. This is where you drop the Pharisee is like the dog in the manger and say, yeah, that person's not letting me eat. They don't know what the Bible says. They don't know what's in there. They're not interpreting Jesus. You interpret it, there's something in there. And what it is a life lesson. All right, the other thing was, can we use the higher self for that and how? I'll get to that. Is there anything that you maybe found in Scripture for all these years? Yeah, you see that. It's absolutely everywhere. If I could show you that, it's a way to read it to see it, and you have to work on how to read it, but that's that. Okay, I'm going to throw up another quick example to show how starkly simple this is and how prevalent it is without pulling it up. I'll just be quick with it. There's the one about the wine and the wineskin. Remember, you cannot put old wine into new wineskins. Otherwise, the old wine is going to ruin the new wineskin. You also cannot put new wine into an old wineskin. Otherwise, the new wine is going to be ruined. But you must put new wine into a new wineskin. We are the wineskin. Wine is life. You cannot put old life into new self. You cannot put new self into new life into old self. You must rectify who and what you are. You must become a pure vessel before taking on a new life. It's going to continue to do that very thing. And it's telling us all the time. Never is it telling us what's he saying here? Go ahead, he's telling you to put new wine into old wineskin. Yeah. That's what he's saying. To be honest, though, that's not the only implication. I mean, I'm going to get to this more and more, but it depends on who you are and what motivates you. Are you someplace where you're not driven by something negative? Then you're going to use positive drive. If you're someplace where you don't have the positive, but you've got something that's going after you, you're going to use something different. There's going to be different processes. So, can we use the higher self for that and how? This is where I guess the deeper part comes in. That was a tough part of the question. I'd have been done with the video if you left that out, but it's going to get big now. Okay, where am I here? The higher self is where we come from. The difficult thing about this is that in carrying the material, God in the material takes on the role of an entity that is out there that you must pray to. When you interpret the material, God becomes the higher awareness that we emerge from, that we can access with our consciousness. You can get there by feeling, from here, I feel detached. I don't even feel life experiences. This is where we came from and where we want to live from. I mean, we want to feel happy and whatnot, but we don't want to live through the memories and the funk and all the bad stuff that makes us feel bad. Which, for many people, that's our life experience. If it's not, you're okay. You don't need to. People that didn't have this kind of a life that needs healing, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Just go for it. Just do it. Just do it. And we're like, no, you can't. Look at what we have. We're starting out standing in the cesspool. We got to get out of this first. You can't climb the mountain until you're in the foothills, and we're not even we don't even left the cesspool. Okay, I know there's a lot of metaphors here. That's just what happens to your head after getting into it. Okay, so what we need to do then is to understand that higher awareness is that. Let me describe it this way. All right, we go to sleep. Everybody wakes up 3, 4 in the morning. That's probably the normal time for humans to wake up evolutionary-wise. Coldest time of the day, and get up before the animals are roaming around, get set up, ready to go. Anyway, we all wake up at that time worried. And what goes on in our mind? Well, now we got a lot of complicated things. We don't get up worried about getting food. Now we worry about, this thing at work and that thing and this person and that person and this shit. And oh my God. And you sit there and your head is just in a tizzy. You can't get back to sleep. Next thing you know, you're wide awake. You know you need to sleep. You haven't had enough sleep. You're going to be exhausted. Every once in a while, there's this voice that comes in that says, hey, relax. There's nothing you can do tonight. You've got to sleep. We don't recognize what that is. That's the higher awareness right there, trying to engage with us. But consciously, we don't know it. So we just slip right back into the turmoil of the memories or the experience. Putting on the garments that we're going to be wearing tomorrow. What are we going to cover ourselves with? What's going to happen? We shouldn't worry about it, but here we are stuck in it. What the heck? I don't want that to happen. How do I make it stop? That's the issue right there. There's some natural processes going on that are plugged with modern things. All right, so the higher awareness is really that part of us. If you can imagine in your mind, close your eyes and look at planet Earth from outer space, like if you're out in space looking at it and watching civilization down there and watching it emerge and, seeing the dinosaurs long ago and things happening over time, you get yourself and you look at this long enough, you can begin to see that, from my perception in my mind out here, I can view things out here detached from my emotions. This is our source. This is where we come from, and this is where we're going to return to. I don't know how, but that's what the material says. It doesn't say, I don't see that it says conscious or, you're going to be on an island any place eating pineapples, but we come from and we return to here. We know that at least. And that during life, what we want to do is live from this place up here where it's like, whew, I don't feel connected to that, instead of down here where it's like, oh my God, what a worthless piece of crap I am. I hate that. Yeah, we have to get out of that. Okay, as long as we're feeling one way, we're going to continue to experience life in an energy-based universe, in a collective, in that same manner. We have to change the way we are in order to flow different within that. We're helping add to the flow as well as flowing with, in concert, the emotional state. That's what the rudders are, the emotional rudders. You always have good things happen, always have bad things happen, always have shameful things. What is it that is steering your course through life? This is the mote in the eye that Jesus talks about that needs to be cleared. What is the eye? The eye is the perception. It's not anything to do with the physical eye. It has to do with how you view life. How do you see it? Two people can look at the same thing and one could go, oh, that's beautiful, and the other one can go, how ugly. They both are looking at it through different eyes, their own perceptions. We need to clear those out and see things for what they are, not for what our experiences that are accumulated in there make them look like. Sometimes metaphors are the best thing to use if you've got the kind of right head for understanding metaphors. And in this case, I would say that just imagine that we're living, all of us, collectively in a sea, collectively in an ocean. That ocean is made up of emotion. And the closer we are together, the more we feel that emotion. It's like putting out a really soft sound. We can get louder, we can get softer. Emotions can get stronger or softer. We can get together and we can accumulate and make it bigger. We can make ourselves feel better or we can make ourselves feel worse. We can see all of these mechanisms in place. We know we're existing in an energy-based universe that is based in emotions, and we're going to flow in that based on the general state of our own stored emotions up here. Not the conscious stuff, the unconscious stuff. So we come from the higher awareness. We emerge as physical creatures that need to develop a brain and have life experiences. So we have a consciousness that does that. That consciousness creates the subconscious by going, well, where do I come from? I live next door to the neighbors. Those are rotten kids. These are nice kids. Why is that? These ones are nurtured, and those ones are told, shut up, you piece of shit, get to your room. That's the difference right there. Empty brains, ready to go, getting wired right off the bat. How did yours get wired? That's what we're dealing with right here. We're different. We got to look at ourselves. We have to understand that we are products of our experiences and the way that we hold those experiences. The higher awareness now, when you're looking to, if it's time to turn inward, that's what I teach. It's like, I don't, you want to manifest something? I go for one thing only, ever, only one thing. There's only one thing I want. You'll get it from Aristotle out of the Nicomachean Ethics. Happiness. You might look for a lot of things to be happy, but if you're happy, you're not looking for things. So if you find happiness, everything's resolved. So you don't look for things to make you happy. You look for happiness. That's hard. How do you be happy? You have to let go of things that you're hanging on to. But we don't know that that has happened through life. All of this happened unaware of our consciousness. You're just judging life. Oh, that sucks. Well, I hate this. I hate that. I hate that. And so all of these things are growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon we are functioning through those. And we need to, in order to go someplace and have a different experience, you cannot go be happy someplace while you're dragging this, while you're keeping this in the back room. It won't work. You got to clean the closets. You know what's there. Okay, back to the higher awareness then. That's what that whole thing is. How do we clean that out? How do we do that stuff? How do I deal with that? I don't want to look at it. It hurts too much. Okay, so what's happened is it happened to begin with, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger over time, and it is so emotionally difficult that we don't want to face it consciously. If we put our minds in the higher awareness state and then look at ourselves, we looked at things, and then let's go ahead from that higher state. We're looking at things big, 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 and then kind of slowly focus in on yourself down there and see yourself, but still from this perception. You're not experiencing the emotion. You're observing yourself from outside of yourself. This is a bigger thing. It's a healing practice. This is really where you are praying to God and getting healing. This is where what we're doing, we get used to things. What we're doing is trying to observe and look at and perceive that experience from outside to the point that we can feel ourselves no longer being that physical entity that's having those experiences. We're living through those memories. That's really not who we are. But that's gradually what has happened. When it's time to destroy the world, that's what's happened. You realize, oh, this is me. I see. My life is because of what is up here. Okay, but the healing process, that's where it becomes difficult, and things can be long-term, and it can create big changes. It becomes more complicated. It's more difficult to do about, talk about that on a video. In my life, I've had, relationship changes and things where there's a point where it's like you have to move on. You have to be willing to do things. So depending on the nature of the change, all I will say here is that, yeah, you have to be ready for some changes, but you have to deal with and address things in the past. The stuff that you hold inside of you that you harbor. What was it? There was one more thing here that goes along with this. What it was it it was in the, what did Jesus say here? Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on your way to court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge and the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Okay, that's what we're talking about right here. We did not come to terms quickly with our accuser. Long ago, something happened. It never got resolved. We're supposed to come to terms quickly. Then it doesn't grow and get bigger. Otherwise, your accuser may hand you over to the judge. Yep, now it's going to get worse. And the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. It's going to become part of our entire life if we don't resolve it. We've got a parallel Some people may know. I like to do parallels just to keep practice. There's one that is not acceptable. It's got homoerotic undertones. It's a very short one about Jesus who stays the night with a young boy who was thinly clad to help him remove his garments or something to that effect. So what would that be if you were trying to interpret it, is that when you are young, when something is small and you've got something covering you naked is a desirable thing in the spiritual world. We're not talking about physical. You translate it to spiritual, it's like that means the boy had some shame and he helped him resolve it before it went on to become this, until he became an adult who hated everybody and, went out and hurt people because he can't resolve his issues. Yeah, that's what that means right there. Whenever something happens, resolve it quickly. Don't let it fester. Don't let it grow. Look at the stuff you carry. You go, yeah, son of a gun, it did grow. And it morphed. And other things happened. And it got bigger and bigger. But somewhere, there's a cornerstone to that temple that needs to be destroyed. This is all right in the... You should recognize this. But once you translate it, transition it into the mind, it takes on a whole different life. So what you're doing in using the higher awareness to manifest is you're really not. What I do and what I've done in my life experience was to use the higher awareness to heal the past. So this molestation I don't want to deal with. It's too shameful. And it hurts me. At some point I understand that I have a higher awareness that can sit up here and go, yo, dude, you evolved down there like a freaking monkey and you need to get out of that. You are so stuck in that right now. Look at how many millions and billions of people. Are you okay? Are you alive? Can you move beyond that? The higher awareness is doing something different when the consciousness is going, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't have to experience this. Maybe I can do something different. I can take a break for a second. Okay, there was one line left back here that we need to cover in the Matthew. And it was truly, I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. Do we see what we have right here concerning anger? In the old days, murder is what it took to get judgment. But I'm telling you, you know what? You're going to get judged for everything you carry in your mind that is unresolved. And if you want a better life, you must resolve that stuff. Yeah, while you're looking for that life and you understand that you've got something there, then you must go do that. And throughout life, if something happens, don't accumulate things. Resolve it very quickly. Don't cover yourself up. Make sure same thing with your kids. Don't just let things stew and sit there and let them anger and grow that way. Understand what happened to you and understand that that's happening to them and that you can circumvent that. And in doing that for them, you're doing it for yourself. Then we get down here and it says, truly, I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. This fits with everything we just learned. We're looking for the way out. You won't get out until you've paid the last penny. What could that mean? I've got a parallel. Do you know the Gospel of Thomas from the Nag Hammadi? They've done a lot of similar crossover verbiage and things like that. Verse number 67, Jesus said, if one who knows the all still feels a personal deficiency, he is completely deficient. That one said, you will not get out until you've paid the last penny. This one says, if you feel a personal deficiency, you are completely deficient. So you're not out till you pay the last penny. You're completely deficient. What does that sound like? Okay, purity. Imagine this. You've got two glasses, crystal clear, clean glasses. You're out in the desert on a trail. It's a trail where people walk along between cities, Nazareth and Damascus. They walk their animals, goats, camels, all that. They stop at the watering hole and you look in the water and it's muddy, it's brown, you can see worms in there. You can see worms in there. You reach down with one glass and you scoop it up and you pull it up and you see stuff in there swimming in muck and it stinks like a barn, a stable floor. It's yucky. The other glass is still pure and you fill it up with pure clean water from something you've carried along, a jar you've carried along with you. So it's pure clean water. So you've got one that's totally nasty and one that is totally pure. Now take that totally pure one and reach down and pick up a pinch of manure and drop it in. What do you have? You will not escape until you pay the last penny. If one who knows the all still feels a personal deficiency, he is completely deficient. As long as you are feeling somehow something inside of you, you have to resolve it. Whatever you're holding on to, you got to resolve it. Okay, yeah. All right, so what I ultimately gleaned from that Jesus teaching right there is from the past, we don't care. We're shifting forward. This goes from physical to mental. It's not just about being judged for killing somebody. Now you're being told, nope, it's in your head. You're being judged for the things that you carry up here. And as long as you're looking for a good life, you've got bad stuff up here. You need to resolve that stuff. And you're going to, how much stuff do you have? How long have you lived life before deciding to go after it? How many times do we need to go in? I still do today. All right, so it's a never-ending process for some people, I think. And that's okay as long as you know what you're doing and you're just going for it and go, okay, I see what's happening now. Okay, anyway, that's what's happening. And when do you finish? You're not done until you feel completely free of it. There you go, the path to enlightenment. All right, I should sum up. It gets too deep. It's never simple with me, but it's like it really isn't simple. People are looking for quick fixes, and it's like we're very complex structures, and we're having an experience that is very complicated. It's more complicated than our brains were evolved for. But all of the things that we're doing, the fear, the joy, all that stuff, those are normal. There's just so many parts to them. We have a difficult time distilling what's going on. And if you look for happiness, then you don't have to look for food. You don't have to look for money. You don't have to look for a new car. You don't have to look for a house with a roof that doesn't leak. If you're looking for happiness, those things are all included with the package. Focus on something that is a little bit easier for your mind to focus on. It doesn't get so scattered, then worried, and it comes with other things. But really, it's finding ways of becoming self-aware enough to where you remember that if you can shift in your conscious state into that higher awareness, where you're bringing the higher awareness cannot be in charge. It's there, but your conscious mind has to get it. The same way, if it doesn't pay attention, the conscious mind slips right into experiencing the memories. The conscious mind has got to wake up and go, oh, I need to drive this boat. I'm not. I'm just bouncing off of things. I need to figure out what's happening, and I've accumulated everything that I've bounced off along life. I need to start throwing the stuff overboard. Yeah. Okay, so the conscious is getting the higher awareness, and then from there, what the conscious is experiencing is something that is not the emotional hurt. That's where we want to live from. But as long as we're living from there and having good, happy experiences, we don't have anything to worry about. But as long as those things are in place, they're going to get triggered. We're going to run into people. We're going to run into situations. They're going to constantly emerge. They're going to continually pull you off course, no matter what, because they're there. And you need to learn to recognize cause and effect. The cycle is happening. Here's how I interrupt it. Here's where it comes from. Here's how to heal it. Here's how to look at it. Ego's hard to drop. It is so difficult to do. We are so full of ourselves. We all think we're God. It's so damn hard. Yeah, there's so much to drop. You got to listen to somebody that's mad and yelling at you that is wrong, and you got to sit there and realize that's their perception. Shut up. Let them have their way. Let them express themselves. Stop fighting. Soften. Understand they're doing the same thing you are. They're hurt. Who's going to figure it out? All right. Does that help with? That's kind of a strange question, huh? What does it have to do with manifestation as far as the Scripture? And I'll tell you what Scripture says is to resolve the issues that are in the way and to create space then and focus then. That's where the secret comes in. Focus on what you want, but only after resolving or making sure you've got a clean slate. Some people may start with a clean slate and a place. An affluent place to begin with and a clean slate. Somebody else is starting in Slumsville without, he wouldn't have wanted a child, wasn't even given guidance. Whew. What are the chances? It's easy for the person to make it to say, this is all you have to do. Yeah, you know what? We all have to find our own way. Okay, I hope that answers the question. I think some people would like to hear this and other people won't. There's going to be people that are saying, man, I want a button to push so that change happens. Not here. Doesn't work that way. You don't meditate on something for 30 days and make a change. I mean, if that can happen, but if you want, and you can overcome, you can have successes, marginal successes, and go, yeah, it's working. I focus on this, and you know what? If you clear out the other things, you don't have to keep focusing on it. You want it, it emerges, it happens. You see a big change by getting rid of impediments if they're in place, and most people do have those impediments in place. All right, take care of that first. Do what the material says, not what Dan says. Resolve, take the mote out of your eye, and you'll see clearly. Resolve the odd against your brother, and then life unfolds automatically. That's what I did, and that's what worked for me. I would only serve as a somebody that says this is the path, and here's an example of the results. But other than that, it's up to each person to go, yeah, I got to find that way in my mind. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. If you don't take this path, you'll never get it. All right. And if you're just trying to manifest something, wrong channel. All right. Take care. See you in the next video.